Rich parents in Manhattan are now paying up to $400 an hour to hire these recreation experts for their children. So a lot of their children are so busy with all the extracurriculars, whether it's violin or piano or some other physical activity or sport, that they don't know how to handle themselves in social situations. So there is a company that takes these 3 to 5 year olds and it helps them, 4-year-olds, 3 to 5 4-year-olds, and it helps them play in certain social situations
together
and learn how to interact with one another and how to be appropriate in a social setting. The reason why they're doing this is not because they're really worried about the well-being of their kids and they want to make sure their kids are popular. They want to do this because it's very competitive to get these kids into some of the private schools, so they don't want to leave any stone unturned. Isn't that unbelievable?
Yeah, all right, there's a lot here. I know your feelings on the school system. So my brother does live on the Upper East of New York City and has a 3-year-old and a newborn. And so I know firsthand how hard it is to get these kids in schools, and you don't want them going to public schools. So you have to get them into good private schools, and they cost a ton of money, and you got to go on these waiting lists and have 18 interviews and be prepped, and it's all completely insane. That doesn't defend any of it. But I think we all know how people just get caught up in these societal things. And if your kid doesn't have an iPad by the time they're 3 years old and know how to do every equation and be brilliant at absolutely everything and play the violin and basketball and everything else, then my God, that kid is screwed.
There was a blog written in the Huffington Post by a parent, and it was a male parent, and he was giving advice to new parents, anyone who's thinking about having kids, and it was the best advice I've ever read on parenting. Now, mind you, I don't have kids of my own, but I hope that I will adopt this mentality when I do have kids, or if I have kids. Calm the fuck down. That was the point of his entire blog, and I totally understand. Of course you want your kids to go to elite schools, but by suffocating them with all of these extracurriculars and recreation coaches and all of that stuff, it's not good for their mental well-being, okay? Having like an expert teach them how to handle themselves in social settings when they're only 4 years old can't be be
Yeah, do that when they're 35. That's when most people need it. You know, you don't need it when you're 4.
Now, the CEO of this company, Aristotle Circle, said the following: given that admission rates to elite kindergartens are so low, parents don't want to leave anything to chance. Experts said that kids may need the playdate tutoring because their young lives have become so regimented with classes and subjects like Mandarin and violin that they don't know how to play with others.
Wait, what 4-year-old is learning Mandarin and playing the violin?
I mean, I think Mandarin's important. I would want my kids
to
learn
you got to
are going to
Mandarin,
be speaking it in like 10 years. I don't have kids. I mean, I guess maybe some of these kindergartens are like, they're looking at the applicants and saying that kid's weird, I'm not letting him in. Maybe they are doing that. But it just seems like each species has instincts. Like a baby deer, very quickly after being born, knows how to walk so it can keep up with its mom. Baby monkey knows how to grab on so it doesn't fall from a tree. And I would imagine that to teach 3 or 4-year-olds how to socialize, you would put them in a group and then that's it. You put them in the group and they play and they talk. Isn't that what they do?
It actually
Am I
seems
wrong?
like
I don't have kids, but it seems like that's the end step. They play with each other.
Well, it seems like you're actually teaching them to be antisocial in a weird way, not to be social, because to be social, you would just put them in a room or put them at the playground in a sandbox and let them get to it.
And if they're being antisocial, you just smack them around a little bit.
You got to smack them.
You calm the fuck down with your parenting.
Yeah,
Jesus.
wow.
I was obviously kidding.
Be social.
Do not hit your kids. That is illegal and frowned upon. No. Anyway, Steve, did you want to jump in? I know your children are learning Mandarin. Didn't you tell me your kids are learning Mandarin?
No, but they're learning violin, swimming, archery, robotics, and I don't know, a few other things.
Robotics?
Are they trying to replace you?
No,
thermodynamics.
Well, my youngest one, the 7-year-old, she's taking this super cool Legos robotics class, where they use Legos and like little motors to build robots, and then they program the robots to do these simple tasks. And what they do is they use block programming, where someone has already pre-programmed the blocks, and then she just kind of strings the blocks together, and then later on, as she gets older, she writes the code herself.
That's
and
awesome.
Eventually, they dispense with the Legos altogether, and everything's all on a computer module. Super nerdy, but she loves it.
That's awesome.
Anyway, you know what the problem is here? The problem is that we live in a society now where everyone's an expert and everyone's a consultant, and they think any situation can be resolved by just having the right expert. And so if you picture yourself as an expert of any tiny little niche area, you'll find some suckers who'll pay for it. So now we have life coaches, we have counselors who help kids get from high school into college. And this sells well in metropolitan areas like LA and New York, where there's a finite number of so-called awesome schools, like preschools and kindergarten, and you become an expert at getting kids into those elite schools, and you make a lot of money doing it. So, I mean, I heard on the radio this woman who, she's a consultant on teaching kids how to get from one elite private school to another and eventually to college. And she makes between $200,000 and $300,000 a year, making, working not that many hours.
I dislike her.
It's just,
Hey, don't
it's
be antisocial, okay?